March 2026. Mark Zuckerberg has just finished weeks of testimony in a landmark federal courtroom in Los Angeles, answering tough questions under oath about whether Instagram and Facebook were designed in ways that could secretly harm kids. For years now, billions of us have opened these apps thinking they're just free ways to connect with friends, share moments, or pass the time. But what if that free part isn't really free at all? What if the hidden price is something much bigger, like real impacts on mental health, especially for younger users, or even worse? I'm Gideon, and today we're going deep into the leaked internal documents, the old emails, the sworn testimony, and everything that's come out in this trial. We're looking at the evidence from both sides so you can see the full picture. The central question here is straightforward. Is this just how big tech does business in 2026? Or have these platforms crossed a line that needs serious attention? Stick with me. By the end, you'll have all the key facts, and you can decide for yourself. Let's start with Project Mist. This is one of the most talked about leaks from late 2025, an internal meta study that got unsealed during the trial. The findings were concerning. For certain groups of users, particularly younger ones, spending a lot of time on Instagram correlated with higher reports of negative mental health markers. Things like increased anxiety, feeling more down or isolated, and even struggles with body image in some cases. Picture this. A toy company creates what they think is the most fun game ever for kids. They run some tests and discover that after playing for hours, some children start feeling sad, less confident, or just off. But instead of changing the game to make it healthier, they decide to keep everything the same because the longer playtime means more engagement and more revenue. That's the kind of tough spot the leaked data put Meta in. Critics, including plaintiffs' lawyers and mental health experts who testified, pointed to this as evidence that Meta knew about these risks but prioritized growth anyway.
They highlighted internal goals, aiming for a 12% increase in daily screen time, even after seeing those correlations. They argued the company ignored warnings to keep users scrolling longer. But Meta's defense has been consistent throughout the trial. They say the study was narrow, focused on specific demographics, and not representative of the overall user base. For the majority of people, they point out, the platforms provide real value, staying connected with family, finding support communities during tough times, sharing positive experiences that actually improve well-being. Zuckerberg himself testified that the company has taken these concerns seriously over the years, rolling out new safety features, age restrictions, and tools to limit harmful content. He emphasized ongoing improvements and that no platform is perfect, but they're constantly working to make things better. So the data definitely raised important questions, but as the testimony showed, it's far from a simple black and white situation.
Next, let's look at Meta's approach to younger users, specifically teens, and how the company worked to bring them in and keep them engaged. Internal emails from as far back as 2015 surfaced during the trial, showing a clear company priority to reverse the teen trend. In other words, at the time, teens were starting to spend less time on the platforms, and leadership wanted to change that, to capture them early and turn them into lifelong users. Think of it like a major sports league that notices fewer kids are signing up to play or watch games. To fix that, they create junior leagues, fun entry-level programs, exciting features tailored for younger fans, all to build excitement and loyalty from an early age, so those kids grow up as dedicated supporters. Zuckerberg addressed this directly on the stand. He testified that these efforts focused on safety-first features, things like better privacy controls, expression tools, and ways for teens to connect securely with friends. The company argued it was about giving young people healthy ways to use the platform. On the other side, the prosecution described these as engagement-first strategies, designed primarily to build habits and keep users coming back, even if it meant targeting a more vulnerable age group. The emails and internal metrics they presented showed a strong focus on retention and lifelong engagement. This is one of those classic debates in tech. Is aggressively growing your user base just smart business in a competitive world, or does it cross into targeting people who might not have the maturity to handle it? Both arguments have weight, as the trial testimony made clear. You can see why this became such a flashpoint, and why it's worth thinking about carefully. Now we get to some of the heavier material, Operation Metafile, the undercover investigation run by New Mexico's Attorney General. In this months-long sting, investigators created fake accounts posing as teenagers on Facebook and Instagram. What happened next was alarming. Within minutes in many cases, the platform's recommendation algorithms suggested connections to sketchy groups or content that violated safety guidelines, including links to bad actors who were looking to exploit minors. Imagine a massive online playground that's supposed to be safe for kids. The built-in map or suggestion system is meant to help you find friends who like the same games or activities. But sometimes that system accidentally points a kid toward the wrong area, toward people or groups they shouldn't be near. Not because anyone intended harm, but because the matching happened too quickly or without enough checks. The Attorney General's team argued this showed the algorithm was built for speed and engagement over maximum safety, pushing recommendations fast to keep users active, even if it occasionally surfaced dangerous connections. Meta pushed back strongly. They said their AI systems catch 99% of harmful content and bad actors, that no technology can be 100% perfect without destroying user privacy through extreme monitoring, and that the company actively works with law enforcement to identify and remove threats. In fact, the operation itself led to 3 arrests, which Meta pointed to as evidence that reporting and enforcement tools do work when used properly. It's a reminder that while risks exist, efforts to combat them are ongoing too. So let's pull it all together. What do we actually have from this trial and the surrounding cases? A $190 million settlement in related claims, paid through insurance, not directly from Zuckerberg's pocket. The project missed data highlighting real mental health correlations for certain users. Zuckerberg's own testimony acknowledging that platforms need evolving oversight and that he wishes some fixes had come sooner. We've seen internal documents showing awareness of these issues going back years, alongside Meta's arguments that they've made meaningful safety improvements over time. Some people look at all this and see a system built primarily for profit and endless growth, even when that growth came with known downsides. Others view it as a powerful tool for connection that's simply evolved faster than laws and regulations could keep up, with the company making progress where it can. The question that really lands for most of us is personal. Who bears the main responsibility for your digital well-being in 2026? The companies that design these massive worlds and algorithms, or each of us as individuals, choosing how and how much we step into them? I've tried to lay out the facts straight. The leaks, the emails, the testimony, the arguments from both sides. No spin, just what's come out in court and the public record. Now, you're in the position of the jury here. Does this point to a real failure in the industry that needs fixing? Or is it more about personal digital responsibility and better choices on our end? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and it's always interesting to see how people weigh the same evidence differently. That's all for this breakdown. It's always cool to think for yourself. If you found this helpful or eye-opening, follow or subscribe for more. I'll be back soon with the next one. Take care.
Case closed. I'm not your lawyer, but subscribing for a get-out-of-jail-free card seems like a pretty good bargain.